So I'm making this video a lot earlier because I want to do something that I haven't done before. If you don't know, I think it's called the Commander Masters deck commanders have been revealed, but not the deck list itself. So I want to make a video because I seen the cards and got excited and went, I want to make content out of that, out of just the commanders on what I think, not the deck's gonna do, but what I think of the commander themselves as a single card, and give my thoughts and opinions on them as a commander, and kind of maybe throw in what ways you can build the deck, and then overall give a kind of a out of 10 or out of me faces is how good I think it is, mainly just because I want to see my opinion versus your opinion when it comes to these commanders, because oh my god, the March of the Machine Commander videos I've done for that entire week, for me, I usually get like maybe 50 views. Most of them got 100, one didn't do so well, but one of them did so well and started a few conversations, and I was more shocked because it was the one that I thought out the 5 was the weakest. So if you missed them, there is a playlist of Is It Worth It? March of the Machine Commander decks, and it was a week of me just plowing through 5 videos. Usually takes me a day or two to make a video. That was very difficult to do. So we're going to start off this video with the first commander being Vuladog Voidgorger for 5 and a waste. You get a legendary creature, Eldrazi, that is a mythic. Color spells you have cast from your hand with mana value 7 or greater have Cascade, and he is a 7/4. When it comes to this commander, I will have to say from the very start, I am going to be biased. When it comes to Eldrazi, it is my favorite creature type. I absolutely love Eldrazi. I try and collect all the rares, and I've tried to collect even all the commons and uncommons. Pretty much anything that says Eldrazi, has a picture of Eldrazi, or has the void part of it, I have tried to get. This is where people kind of find it weird. I find Eldrazi cute. I don't know why. I think it's like their Slenderman face and the tentacles and stuff. I just find them cute, but I know I'm a bit weird. Like, this could be a 6 mana 1/1 that done absolutely nothing, and I would have already fallen in love with it. Plus the actual card itself, the artwork, I've already fallen in love with it. There's 3 versions, I already want all 3, and I don't even care why. It's just an Eldrazi and I love it very much. But starting off, 6 mana for a commander is kind of there. Usually you're aiming for 4 to 6, and when anything higher, unless it's absolutely amazing, it kind of dies off. I find personally, in the way I see people play, the best commanders are the commanders you can get out the fastest, and that's not without the ramp. So like Quain decks, absolutely amazing, 2 mana, stuff like that. And then you get a 7/4, 4/6 mana. It's quite good. There's no key abilities on this word, like there's no menace, vigilance, or anything like that, which is kind of a downside. However, I'm not too sad about it, but you cannot probably play this as a Voltron deck, especially with the ability it does have. It doesn't really work that way unless you get artifacts that are like 7+ and then use to equip. I say it'll be more difficult, and there's way better commanders you can go Voltron on. When it comes to a command like this, personally I just call them enchantment commanders, because they're pretty much gods that kind of just sit there and do nothing, because you don't really attack, you only really block if you have to, but the ability is mainly the reason you play it. That's why I call it an enchantment card, because it just really sits there instead of actually attacking and defending like most commanders do. However, I absolutely love its ability. If you play anything that's 7 or more, which a lot of Eldrazi's are, and again, they just released a reprint of the 3 Titans, so yeah, they're all +7 mana, plus it betrays and stuff like that, and Desolation Twin, absolutely great cards for this deck. And this deck's not even out, and hopefully they're in it, or at least some of them are. But you play them, you get to Cascade. I absolutely love Cascade, and the fact that an Eldrazi has a Cascade ability is really good. And I really do like the way they're doing it, because if you play the most expensive Eldrazi, which I think is 20, but I think that's banned, but 15 with one of the unbanned Embercool, you'll be able to then hopefully get one of the other 2 Titans that cost less, or a Desolation Twin, or It That Betrays. But it even gets even better, because you don't just Cascade once, you Cascade twice. This card is absolutely amazing. I already want to buy this deck. I do not care what's the rest in it. 1, I know for a fact the land base is going to be wastes, and wastes are probably the hardest basic land to get a hold of. So I'm like, cool, it's got Eldrazi, it's got wastes, it's probably got a bunch of other things, especially with Cascade. There's probably going to be cards in there. You might even get like a big massive like robot or something in it. Like I don't think they will with how pricey they are, but a steel or dark steel or blight steel Colossus. But I'll just buy my own and put it in the deck. Also, if you have a Anima deck like I do, that the whole point is to play the colorless creatures kind of for free, this card reads, for 1 waste, anytime you play anything 7 or more, Cascade twice. Which also works with Anima, because if you literally then go, cool, I'm going to play a Titan for free because of Anima, and then I'm going to Cascade twice, this card is absolutely broken in an Anima deck. Yeah, so 8.8. And now we are on to the second commander, and that commander being Aniketa, Hand of Erebos. For 2 white, black and a green, you get a legendary enchantment creature, Demigod, that is a mythic. It has Menace. Other enchantment creatures you control have Menace. Whenever Aniketa enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 target non-aura enchantment creature card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card, except for it's a 3/3 black zombie creature token in addition to its other types, and it is a 4/4. Honestly, when I seen just the box art and the 3 colors it would be in, someone saying it's going to be an enchantment deck, I was kind of meh about it. Wasn't really the biggest fan. 3 colors, enchantment deck, I'm like, they're going to do like masks, or they're going to do something that's like being done 20 different times. But I was shocked about nearly everything to do with this card. For 5 mana, you get a 4/4 with Menace. If it didn't have Menace, I thought it would be meh, but since it has Menace, I thought it would be quite good. It gives all your other enchantment creatures Michadhe, which is Menace for people that don't know. Also really good because it's really good for like kind of getting them attacks through. This commander will actually personally be quite a good Voltron deck. She's good for attacking and blocking. So, and then she also has a good kind of enchantment ability. She's kind of can be played in multiple different ways, which is really good for a commander. But personally, one of the things I do love about a card like this is that it has an ETB trigger and an attack trigger, which isn't broken at all. Like, no card ever has been released that has an ETB or attack trigger that's ever been broken. Go away, you. But this is one of those things that it is really good, and especially with this ability, it seems to be fair. However, it does seem one of them abilities that is breakable. I'm not good enough of a player just from the top of my head to go, yeah, if you put these 3 cards together, you'll get infinite zombies with Menace and other things. I do still think it's a really good card. However, the only downside is when I read this card, I'm like, Enchantment Evening will go good in it, but unfortunately, you cannot put Enchantment Evening in this deck. Overall, I'll give it an 8.2. And then the third commander we're going to be talking about is Commander Guff. For 1 blue, red and a white, you get a legendary Planeswalker Guff that is a mythic. It starts on 5 loyalty. At the beginning of your end step, put a loyalty counter on another target planeswalker you control. +1. Create a 1/1 red wizard creature token with tap. Add red mana, spend this mana to only cast a planeswalker spell. -3. You draw X cards, and Commander Guff deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of planeswalkers you control. Commander Guff can be your commander. Now this is a planeswalker. This is another card that is very close to my heart because I have a folder where I try and collect every single planeswalker that I can possibly get my hands on. So this card is already a must for me. He's also a huge part of the story, which is really, really good because I haven't really seen a good planeswalker story card, especially since they've been killing them off lately. And then you get a 5 loyalty planeswalker for 4, which is quite powerful. And then on the end step, you get to put a loyalty counter on another planeswalker. So just from assuming that, this deck should have a handful of planeswalkers in it, especially in them 3 colors. My biggest problem with this, it just seems to be kind of like a slightly more powerful Freyleys, because their +1 gives you a wizard instead of an elf that gives you red mana instead of green mana. And then the -3, which is really cool that you get to use it as you play it. Like, it's not an old ult that will kill the planeswalker, or you're not allowed to do it because it doesn't have low loyalty, but it just seems to be kind of a Sandra ability. For a 3 color deck, the white doesn't really see, like, I can picture the white being putting the counters on I can picture the white maybe making the token, but it makes red mana. So again, goblins and stuff, that's the red mana, and the blue is draw. You could fight for it, but it just seems to be really an is it Planeswalker. However, story-wise, they just threw in white. How well I know the story and the stuff I've read up on this, I don't think he's that powerful. To be honest, I'm more like him being a card, absolutely great. But I think they've done it with the same, was it Pain Builder deck? Where people were like, this guy, very well known in the story, now became a 5-color Planeswalker. And everyone was like, this is going to be great. And then they showed him off and they're kind of like, meh. Like, when I read that, a guy that can just go, I don't like the story, planeswalk to a library and go, I edit the story, now everybody's happy. Doesn't have an ult kind of in any form of way, like the way Bolas has the, if you have a legendary anything and people don't, you win the game. There should be something at that level, not just you do a bit of damage and draw a little bit of cards, especially since like Ral, who is, from the story seems way weaker than this guy, does a little bit more. Now again, I know they're probably doing it and it depends on the cards in the deck, and this could be a really broken card, but just from reading the card on its own, personally I thought it was going to be on like the Bolas or some of the some of the Teferi level cards that are like really broken, really high there, but it seems to be a lot less than I originally thought it would be. But it's a Planeswalker, this deck's going to have a lot of Planeswalkers in it, and a lot of synergy can come from this deck, so I'm going to give it an 8.6. And then the final commander being Sliver Gravemother. For white, blue, black, red and a green, you get a legendary creature Sliver that is a mythic. The legendary rule doesn't apply to Slivers you control. Each Sliver creature card in your graveyard has Encore X, where X is its mana value. It has Encore 5, and it is a 6/6. Now, before anyone like bites their head off me, I am one of those people that don't hate Slivers, but I also don't like Slivers. I don't really care for Slivers. Slivers do what Slivers do best, and people complain about them, and I'm just like, but that's what they're supposed to do. And people are like, no, they're broken. Meh. I'm like, yeah, they are. I win. Like, I know they can be annoying, but I've played against Sliver decks, I've won against Sliver decks, I've seen people like go off and win games. I'm like, cool, that's the whole point. I win games, you win games, we try to win games and have a bit of fun. There's no need to hate Slivers just because it's like, oh, it's easy to make a broken Sliver deck. Yeah, people like playing on easy mode. Like, some people never touch Dark Souls for a reason. I call them Sliver players. But that's why you don't have to worry about me jumping into this going, it's a Sliver, blah, 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 blah. I hate it. I'm non-biased when it comes to Slivers. So for a Wooburg, you get a 6/6 with no keywords, which is fair, but then the first line is absolutely broken. It doesn't do the legendary rule. Reading this, I kind of want to make a deck of this, but I don't want to make a deck of this with Slivers. I want to make a landfall token deck where I make a bunch of tokens and go, cool, I play this card that turns all my tokens into a creature. They're all going to be my commander. My commander is attacking. All 50 plus of my commanders are going to attack all of yous. I have an army of Sliver commanders with only one Sliver in the deck. Like, that's something I would like to do, but I do like making weird decks, and I just read that and I just went, I want to make my Coma deck, because that's the point of my Coma deck. I pretty much play Coma, get a bunch of tokens, play Fleet Swallower or something on the lines of Fleet Swallower, and just go, cool, everything's Fleet Swallower. I attack with 100 6/6s. But if 8 attack each opponent, you just lose because you have no like library anymore. Yeah, I find it fun, but I do like the fact that it seems to be the first ever Sliver commander that's not really based around Slivers for most of it. Personally, I think it's the first ever Sliver that doesn't have to have Slivers in the deck. That makes sense. Then we have the second ability of Encore, where if a Sliver's in the graveyard, you Encore it, and I kind of like it. However, it kind of takes a bit of the spotlight off the enchantment deck, because Wizards lately, in my opinion, have not been making the best decks. Like, they seem to be kind of reusing the same stuff. Now, 3 of them seemed really good. When it came to this Sliver one, it seemed they took a little bit of spotlight from the enchantment deck. And I'm like, there could possibly been something else you could have done with Slivers, but I'm not giving out, not complaining. It's a good card. And then itself has Encore, which is really good because, again, getting over command attacks and stuff like that is a really cool thing. I do really like this card, and I think a lot of Sliver players are going to take out their Sliver commander and put in this one. I do kind of personally think it's also one of those things that it's just kind of like a... people will build and play a Sliver deck, play it a bunch of times, kind of get bored of it, and this is the chance for them to go, cool, I can change commander and do the exact same thing, but it's fun because it's new. But they're my thoughts and opinions on it. When it comes to this deck, I will give it an 8.2. I do find it to be the weakest. However, it is a really good deck and a really good Sliver deck. Now, I know I've gone at 8 point somethings, but they're all really good. There hasn't actually been, in my personal opinion, where all the decks from a set are good. They're usually a lot more dramatic. These are what the decks I want them to be. They're all tight, they're all good, and they all have unique abilities and kind of different ways to play them. When it comes to all of these decks as a whole, I find them absolutely amazing. I definitely want the Eldrazi one, depending on the deck list and depending on if I can at that moment in time, depending on what other sets are around. I would also like to probably get the Planeswalker one, mainly for my collection. However, it depends on the deck itself. The Eldrazi one is probably going to be I'm a buy it. But these are my thoughts and opinions on these commanders. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Let me know if there was any you want to buy or anything you would like to change when it comes to these. Remember to like and subscribe and follow me on all my social media, and I will see you all in the next video. Also, if you like this video, I had Wizards missed a golden opportunity video right here, a playlist of Magic the Gathering stuff here, and a subscribe button here that you should hear, and I will see you in the next video.